Partying with alcohol into the morning, red wine stains on the wall, and pictures of the British Prime Minister toasting party guests. The eagerly awaited investigative report on the Partygate affair accused the political leadership around Prime Minister Boris Johnson of serious misconduct and revealed clear violations of the corona rules in force at the time. Internal investigator Sue Gray cited emails and chat messages showing that employees were aware of the breaches of the rules. Johnson emphasized in Parliament that he wanted to take full responsibility. Yeah, but he ruled out resigning. In Parliament on Wednesday, Johnson appeared ignorant and innocent. Yes, he stopped by meetings to express thanks and appreciation to his hard-working employees. Some of these meetings lasted longer than necessary and were clearly a breach of the rules, said the Prime Minister. But he couldn't have known that, because he was already gone, or sometimes not in the house at all. What a joke. He was surprised and disappointed by the violations. A lot of what I read in the report was new to me, Johnson later told journalists. Another lie. Against this background, he withdraws the statement he made months ago in Parliament that all the rules had always been followed. But he never lied. The allegations that Gray raises on 37 pages weigh heavily. There's talk of severe alcohol excesses, one person had to vomit, two others had a small argument. You can almost smell the amount of alcohol drunk at those government parties when partying was banned, commented BBC correspondent Chris Mason. Accordingly, it must have been clear to those responsible that these were not working sessions that got out of hand by accident. In emails Gray released, officials planned the events. Johnson's office manager at the time, Martin Reynolds, summed it up in an email. We apparently got away with it. Shortly before Gray's report was published, that's what the BBC reported, citing eyewitnesses, that the Prime Minister himself had poured alcohol to revelers. Wine time Fridays were regularly invited. Sometimes rooms were so full that some had to sit on others' laps. The head of the ethics department at the time brought a karaoke machine to a farewell party. For investigator Gray, it's clear who is to blame for this behavior: the political leadership and the heads of the public service, the so-called civil service. The events I studied were attended by government leaders, Gray wrote. Many of these events should not have been allowed, she wrote. Staff assumed they were allowed to attend as leading politicians were present. Even if Johnson was not named as the culprit, for the opposition he is the face of the affair. After all, the debauchery happened in his official residence, while people in the country could neither visit relatives nor say goodbye to the dying. The report reveals the rot that has spread under this Prime Minister at 10 Downing Street, said Labour leader Keir Starmer. If Johnson does not go in the face of this catalogue of crime, his party must throw him out, the opposition leader demanded. And Ian Blackford, leader of the Scottish National Party, the SNP, said he only apologised for one reason: because he was caught. Oh, Blackford, you're so right. Most Britons see it that way too. In a YouGov poll, 59% called for Johnson's resignation. But the Prime Minister does not draw any personal conclusions and points out that the most important people in Downing Street have already been replaced, so he's got his scapegoats. The top government official, Simon Case, whom many blame for the tolerated party culture, also remains in office though. On the contrary, it became obvious on Wednesday that Johnson finally wants to end Partygate. But I won't. He downplayed the allegations. The Prime Minister stressed that these are just a few violations in more than 600 days of the pandemic in a 5-story building with more than 5,300 square meters of space where hundreds of people work. He found support among members of his Conservative Party. Former Minister for Building Robert Jenrick called for turning a page. Johnson also emphasized that he now wanted to look ahead, that there were enough major problems that he wanted to tackle. That he was the first incumbent Prime Minister to be fined by the police for attending a lockdown party that the police distributed more than 120 fines to dozens of his employees, that Downing Street became the most severely punished street in the country, well, he didn't dwell on that for long. Tobias Ellwood, already known as a Johnson critic, was the only Tory member to call on the Prime Minister to resign in the room. It will now be exciting to see how the broad masses of backbenchers react. If 54 of the 359 Tory MPs speak out against Johnson, there will be a vote of no confidence within the party. But at first, such a step seemed further away than ever. But I was really out of words to see these PMQs and the statements on Partygate afterwards, and what Johnson was saying. That he has the nerve in the defense of Partygate to bring up Brexit and the pandemic and how he dealt with it, both very poorly. He's selling it as a big success, but both very poorly, is unbelievable. And now saying that we have to get away from Partygate, we have to take care of serious problems like the cost of living crisis. His government raised taxes 15 times and threw those people into the most serious inflation in Europe. It was his doing and his Chancellor of the Exchequer's doing. And he didn't do anything to soften the whole thing for the poorer people in the country. He's now promising that at the day Partygate hits him hard. So from this liar, we know what that will mean for the poor people in the country. I'm really sorry for a lot of people there, except those that are still holding on to all the lies Boris Johnson is telling them. I can see that in many comments under many videos. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.